welcome to Drishti IAS. Today is 28th of April and we are going to begin with our Hindu analysis. So let's start with the first important article for today. It talks about SCO's Defense Ministers meeting. So Rajnath Singh has arrived in Bishkek for SCO Defense Ministers meeting. So this is a ministerial level meeting that is happening, the Defense Minister level meeting that's happening, and it's taking place at Bishkek. So if we look at this article over here, it says that in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, this high-level Indian delegation meeting is happening. So all the defense ministers of all the member countries, they're going to come together in Kyrgyzstan for this meeting. And it's an important meeting because all these ministerial level meetings, so summit is very important, but other than summit, these ministerial level meetings are also very important because of the organization that SCO is. We'll talk about that also. But first, let's see what is the background. So amid ongoing geopolitical tensions in West Asia, with member countries likely to explore measures to mitigate the impact of the conflict on regional stability. So why is this one particularly important? Because of the timing of it. Right now, the entire world is suffering because of the West Asian crisis, and that's why all these countries, these different summits, these ministerial level meetings are also taking place so that proper brainstorming can happen. People can come up with solutions on how to deal with such global level crisis. So if we look at the background of SCO a little, so SCO was formed in 2001. Shanghai Cooperation Organization was formed in 2001, right? And there are 10 member countries. There are 10 members. Now a trick to remember that would be put brick, double I and double K. So you have Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Belarus, Russia, Iran, India, China, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. So it's a very important Central Asian organization, and because of the representation also, so the representation right now is somewhere around 40 to 42% of world's population. So it's very important, and it's important for India also because you see we have China here, we have Pakistan here. So this is one of the largest regional cooperations, and we usually have very tensed relations with China, very tensed relations with Pakistan. So it's like a platform where all these countries can come together, and India can also have these contacts or these connects with China and Pakistan as well. So that's why also SCO becomes very important. So it has 10 members, and if we talk about the permanent bodies of SCO, so there are two permanent bodies. Okay, one is the Secretariat and the other one is RATS, which is the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure. So this deals with extremism, this deals with terrorism, and India, you know, has been very strong in voicing concerns against terrorism. So we have this, kind of an idea also, because we are a part of SCO. We highly want to participate in such anti-terrorism conversations also and raise our concerns as well. So it's an important, organization for India to be a part of. And right now, what we are seeing is a defense minister level meeting, and the background also becomes extremely important because the West Asian crisis is ongoing, and this is actually in order to bring about stability in the Central Asian region. So it's all very connected. All these geographies, they are very connected. So such kind of meetings, such kinds of summits, they also become important for us. So let's see what comes out of this meeting, but it's definitely something that we need to be looking forward to. So this is about the first meeting. Now the second article is about China-Pakistan space cooperation. So China-Pakistan space cooperation is evolving. It is actually reaching new heights, and China and Pakistan have been claiming that they have a all-weather friendship. There are multiple projects that China is funding in Pakistan. There's Belt and Road Initiative of China also. So there are multiple projects in there. Other than that, China has been like the only country who has been very active in launching many of Pakistan's satellites. So a lot of cooperation is already seen in the space sector when it comes to China and Pakistan. So they have shown strong cooperation in the space sector. And right now, why this is in news? Because China has selected two Pakistani candidates to visit the Tiangong space station. So China has selected Mohammad Zishan Ali and Khurram Daud. These are two Pakistani candidates who will be first trained in China for a visit to the Tiangong space station. But we need to understand that not both of them are going to go to space. Only one of them will be going to space as a payload specialist. Okay, so only one of them will be visiting the space station as the payload specialist. So this again is a, a great step in their cooperation, in their bilateral ties, China and Pakistan's bilateral ties, because their cooperation has been evolving, and if this is actually executed in the right manner and it is properly executed, then we'll have the first Pakistani national actually visiting the space or entering the space. So as a payload specialist, not exactly as an astronaut, but as a payload specialist. So this is like another milestone that we can say has been introduced in China and Pakistan's space cooperation. Okay, and this is being done because an agreement was signed in 2025, and this was signed between China Manned Space Engineering Office CMSEO and Pakistan Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission SUPARCO. So an agreement was signed, and this agreement again had objectives like strengthening the cooperation in the space sector between China and Pakistan. So as a step in that direction itself, these two Pakistani candidates, they have been selected, and one of them is going to visit the space station, the Tiangong space station, as the payload specialist. Okay, if you have any queries, please let me know. All right, let's move on to the next article for today. Now this is an editorial coverage. It's the Gang of Seven on the AAP defections. Now what has happened? We know that 7 of AAP MPs, they left AAP and they joined BJP. Now AAP was qualification that they should be disqualified on the grounds of defection, but they have been claiming that this is not exactly a disqualification. This is not exactly defection, but merger. This is merger. So this merger clause, the anti-defection law, how the disqualification works, all these things become important for our examination. So what's happening? This defection is being claimed by AAP. So these 7 MPs of AAP, they left AAP and they joined BJP. Now AAP is saying that disqualify them because defection has happened. What is defection? Defection is just a disqualification, and disqualification will happen once an elected MP, if they decide to choose, if they decide to basically leave the party that they were elected under and join some other political party. In that case, defection can happen because they were selected under one party's banner, but they are now leaving that party voluntarily and they are moving to some other political party. They are switching political parties. So this is one case for defection. And the second case for defection is if they vote against or they abstain from voting. They abstain or they vote against the whip of the party. The whip of the political party. So the whip, when the whip has been said, or when the whip has been given that you have to vote in favor or you have to vote in against, if they go against the whip of their political party or if they abstain from voting, in that case also defection can be triggered. And defection can be triggered if they voluntarily give up the membership of the voting party, membership of the political party that they were representing or that they were elected under, and they want to join some other political party. In that case also disqualification happens. So all this is covered under the anti-defection law. Which is in the 10th schedule. 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and this was added in 1985. Because before this, what was happening, a lot of MPs, they were switching political parties for their own personal gains. They were simply switching political parties, and this is not good for the political parties that they have been elected under, because the voters placed their trust in them, in the political party that they were representing, and now they simply decide to switch between political parties for their own personal pleasure. So that's why anti-defection law was introduced in 1985, and after that, these were the two grounds on which defection or disqualification is going to be granted to these MPs. However, the decision whether these people will be disqualified, whether the MPs will be disqualified or not, will lie with the leader of the House. So who will decide whether these MPs, because I told you that AAP is saying that disqualify these 7 MPs, but BJP is saying that this is not disqualification, this is merger. The MPs are also saying that this is merger. So who's actually going to decide, who's going to take the final decision? This is the leader of the House. So we have Speaker in the case of Lok Sabha, and Chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha, right? So they will decide if these MPs will be disqualified or not. And in this case, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha has favored the MPs, and he has said that no, they are not disqualified because this is merger. Now, what exactly is the merger clause? Anti-defection law came in to basically safeguard the voters' trust and the political parties' trust, so that these people, these elected MPs, do not keep switching between political parties but for their own gains. But what happens if the political party that they were elected under has fundamentally now changed the principles or objectives, and they are not aligning well with the elected representatives? They are now standing for something else. They have changed their ideology. In that case, an option should be given to those elected representatives also, that they are no longer aligned with the values of the political parties, they want to switch. How will that happen? For that, we have a merger clause, that if two-thirds of the members of a political party leave that political party and they decide to join some other political party, then in that case it will not be counted as defection, but it will be counted as a merger. It will be not counted as a defection, but it will be counted as a merger, and that is what happened over here. Raghav Chadha did not leave his seat alone, and he did not simply just go and join BJP. Along with him, 6 other MPs also left AAP. So 7 in total, more than 2/3 of the majority of the seats that are present in Rajya Sabha for AAP. Those people, those elected MPs, they left AAP and they joined BJP. So that's why the chairman of the House said that this is not disqualification on the grounds of defection. This is actually merger. The merger clause has been activated. Okay. So if we look at the article over here, the Rajya Sabha Secretariat updated the party-wise list of members in the House, and they counted Aam Aadmi Party MP Raghav Chadha and 6 others with BJP, indicating that the chairman CP Radhakrishnan has accepted their request to switch sides. So this is no longer defection, but it is a merger. So legally, it's not defection. Politically, there are different narratives that are going around, but for us, relevance for the examination is that legally this is actually a merger. Okay. Now let's look at the other article for today. It's a science and tech article. It says that enhanced CAR-T therapy clears solid tumors by finding faint targets. So CAR-T therapy is always in the news. CAR-T therapy has been asked in the examination also. Such kind of articles, such kind of research also becomes important for us. Right now, the researchers or the scientists are saying that they are developing an enhanced CAR-T therapy that is going to clear solid tumors also by finding faint targets. So let's decode everything. What exactly is this? So let's start with the first thing. What is CAR-T? CAR-T therapy, and then we will see what new is happening. So it's chimeric antigen receptor T-cell therapy. and this is particularly groundbreaking for treating cancer. Now, T cells are a part of our immune system, right? T cells are responsible for activating the immune system in our body and basically attacking the pathogens, attacking the foreign elements and providing immunity to our body, correct? So, T cells do that. But what happens with cancerous cells? Many a times these T cells are not able to identify that cancerous cell. They are not able to trigger the immune response. So in that case, a receptor is added, which is the chimeric antigen receptor or CAR. A receptor is added which is sensitive to the target that is found on the cancer cell. So there are cancerous cells. These have targets. Targets are nothing but proteins, antigens. So they will have an antigen, and this antigen is actually going to be identified by the receptor, the chimeric antigen receptor that will be present on the T cell. So normal T cells at time they miss out on this antigen, but what happens if we add CAR, if we add chimeric antigen receptor, then it becomes sensitive to the antigen that is present on the CAR cell, on the cancerous cell, and in turn this is going to become activated. This T cell is going to activate itself, and then in turn the immune system response is going to be triggered. So ideally CAR T cell therapy works like this. Now the challenge with the CAR T cell therapy also is that it is very efficient. It is very efficient in dealing with blood cancer. It is very efficient in dealing with blood cancer, but at times it is not that efficient in dealing with solid tumors. Solid tumors. Solid tumors are those physical lumps, those masses that are found in different organs of the body, in kidney, in pancreas, in lungs, in ovaries. So the solid masses that are found, many a times these CAR T cells, they are not effective in identifying or in treating those types of tumors. Because what happens here also, we were taking care of the antigen, we were actually identifying the antigen in the CAR T cell therapy. Now at times this antigen or this protein that we are talking about, so this protein at times is hidden on some of the cancerous cells. In solid tumors, this protein gets hidden, and because the protein is hidden, which means because the target is hidden, the target is not identified, and when the target is not identified, the immune response is not going to be triggered. So this is the whole issue with the CAR T cell therapy also, that it is very effective in dealing with blood cancer, but when we talk about solid cancers and when we talk about these physical masses wherein at times this target or this protein is not found, or it is found in very less amounts, very small amounts that cannot be easily identified, in those cases this therapy does not work effectively. So for that the researchers are coming up with new technology. They are wanting to make these CAR T cells or these CAR receptors basically more sensitive, extra sensitive, that when we are talking about identification of the protein, we'll look at the specifics also, but when we are talking about this protein, even if this protein is found in very trace amounts, even if this antigen is found in very trace amount, very minimal amount, or let's say it's not found on some of the cells, some of the cancerous cells, and it is found on some other cancerous cells, even in those cases they have to behave extra sensitively. These receptors will behave in an extra sensitive manner, and they are going to identify that target, they are going to identify that protein, and this in turn is going to trigger the immune system. Okay. So the CAR T therapy engineers T cells to attack cancer using specific targets or antigens. These are nothing but these are proteins. Targets are those antigens, those proteins that are found on cancer cells. And the T cells, or because of the help of that receptor that we have, chimeric antigen receptor, that is going to identify the target, it is going to identify the antigen, and then it is going to trigger a response. It has been successful in blood cancers, but it struggles with solid tumors. Because scientists, they thought that many tumor cells don't have the target protein, so CAR T can't detect them. Scientists have been thinking that they don't have this protein, but that is not true. We are talking about the CD70 protein. This is the name of the antigen. This is the name of the protein. So scientists till now used to believe that This is not found in many of the cancerous cells, but that is not true. This is a pseudo heterogeneity. Earlier they used to feel that it is not found on some cells, it is found on some cells, so there is heterogeneity, and because of this heterogeneity the immune system is not being triggered, but that is not the case. What is happening is that most of the cancerous cells, they definitely have this protein. However, the only problem is that at some cells or in some cells it has a strong representation, and in some cells it has a weak representation, and because it has a weak representation in some cells, this antigen receptor, it was not able to identify the CD70 protein, and when it was not able to identify, no signals were sent to the immune system to trigger the response, right? And why is it present in a faint manner? This is the faint target that the article talked about. By finding faint targets. What is the faint target? Faint target is nothing. It is about those cancer cells which have a very low representation or very minimal amount of CD70 present in them. So it's a faint target. And why does this happen? This happens because there is an enzyme called EZH2 that tightens DNA structures, leading to very low protein production. So because of this, the representation of this protein is very less in some of the cancer cells. That is why no immune response is being triggered. Now what is going to happen? We will be building extra sensitive chimeric antigen receptors. How? By making use of HLA independent T cell receptor, by designing a hit receptor. So these terms are actually important, okay? Hit receptor, chimeric antigen receptor. So hit receptor is nothing but it's an HLA independent T cell receptor. Now in order for the immune system to function effectively, HLA has to be present. HLA has to be present, but even in these cases they are trying to build a system where it is not dependent on HLA also, extra sensitive chimeric antigen receptor, which is not dependent on HLA, and it is going to trigger a response independent of HLA. So this will be known as a hit receptor, and this hit receptor will in turn trigger the immune system and things will start functioning effectively. This is going to help us in treating solid tumors also, blood cancers as well as solid tumors. So this new technology also becomes important for our examination. So this was all about this article. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay. So that was all for today's video. Now let's look at a practice question for prelims. And before we do that, you know we have the Studio GS Foundation live online course. This is a foundation course. So your prelims and main syllabus is going to be covered in 14 months. So you will get 1250 plus hours of classes, printed class notes, live chat facility, and the price is 34,999 rupees. And you can also use a coupon code to get a further discount on this, which is SALONI, all in capital letters only. So the admissions have begun. Please call us at 87501, and you can also download the Drishti Learning app. Now let's look at the question for today. With reference to the 10th schedule of the Constitution of India, consider the following statements. 1. A member of parliament or state legislature can be disqualified if they voluntarily give up membership of their political party. 2. If 2/3 of the members of a political party in a legislature agree to merge with another party, it is treated as defection and all members are disqualified. 3. The decision regarding disqualification on grounds of defection is made by the Speaker or Chairman of the House. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 3 only. B. 1 and 2 only, C. 2 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2 and 3. Please attempt this question and provide your answers in the comment section. Thank you for watching.